I did a workshop yesterday with Zohar Shalom, one of my favorite, I guess you could say, spiritual teachers, and she's in Israel, and she works in Hebrew only, so might not be something that everybody can do. But she just is this amazing woman who, in the workshop yesterday, was about dreaming. And I want to try to just share some thoughts on it because there's so many little things in there that I could relate to. And she kind of started off by wrapping the workshop with the idea that this is an experiential workshop. It's not something that you just can take notes and have in the mind. And in fact, better if you just leave the mind. And we're so not used to learning that way. This is also the way that I facilitate. I constantly have to remind the group that it's a process of experiencing, and to try to allow the mind to or to notice how the mind, you go straight into the mind's, judgments and grouping and categorization and right and wrong and this and that. So allowing the experience to happen helps us actually internalize the knowledge, and that is actually much longer lasting than just something you just pick up as a strategy or strategic knowledge. And we're so trained now in schools, like, to take the knowledge, or like these YouTube videos that how to make money in 30 days, or how to become confident in 5 days, or how to do this in 3 days. So like strategies, and everybody wants to share their strategy, but rarely do you get someone who says, I'm not going to give you strategies. This is not practical in that sense, because people always want to, well, how do I apply this? How do I apply this? Well, it's applied because you're experiencing it. So it's already applied. So you don't really even have to worry about applying it, because the need to apply it is also some sort of like calling of the mind to want this to be practical in a way that you understand it. And sometimes we have to also let go of understanding and let go of that faculty just a little bit, because it like opens up something when we just allow. For myself, I also feel like, for example, I had this idea that I wanted to do something different and not go to my, not continue with my yoga course. And I love my yoga course. I've been doing it for 4 years. It's a group of Israeli women, and we have so much fun. And the type of yoga that an amazing teacher, you develop and you feel yourself growing and moving. And at the same time, there was also this like, I feel like it's time to go and do something different, or not do anything. But I was trying to like understand it, because rationally the mind would say, but then you miss out on yoga, on physical activity, on the connection, on the social connections, on the group, on the teacher who I love, and like having that social community once a week guaranteed. So the mind was saying all these things to say like, you should stay in this group, but at the same time, I was hearing or feeling like, no, it's time to go. And being in that workshop yesterday with Zohar allowed me to let that voice also take its place, and to connect with that voice as my strength. And that voice is also the connection to God, to listening to myself, and to allowing my own visions and dreams to occur and to grow and to manifest. And there was this idea she also put out there, that we're always, or that many times we are unconsciously living out somebody else's dream. Like, we're living out society's dream that we need to do these things in life and get a job and get married and have kids, and these things that become like, you don't even know anymore whether that's even your wish or your dream, but it's something that you feel that this is what society says makes a happy life. And there is security in it, and that's why it's so attractive, because then we know what to do and we know what to step into. But oftentimes when we live into somebody else's dream or some other entity's dream, it's actually giving our power away and weakening us. And I think this is also what happened with my PhD. I was kind of living out a dream of getting the degree of the PhD, which was never really my dream. My dream was always, my vision was always in the process of the PhD, becoming a PhD coordinator, working and helping the community grow around it, doing the workshops that I was studying. So I was kind of studying my own facilitation. So it was in the doing of the workshops, not necessarily extracting all these things into a format that is appeals to an external assessment committee. And life said, you were right, that wasn't your dream because you didn't get it. So when it's not your dream, life has God has the generosity and the compassion to let it fail, to let it destroy itself, because as a sign for yourself to say, oh yeah, go into my dream, actually go into my vision. And dreaming is dreaming is so important. And our society says now, like, you shouldn't dream or be realistic, and if you dream, you're delusional, and like all these tools of manipulation to get us to follow. And in that following, we're also easily manipulated, because then we follow this idea of how things are and who's the enemy. And then society, as soon as it wants to control and manipulate us, or the powers that be, when they want to control, they just feed that narrative and they say, oh yes, that is bad, and that's why this is happening to you. And no really government will encourage you to follow your dreams, or no kind of power hierarchy will say follow your dreams. They want you to follow in line, not follow in your dreams and your vision. So detaching from that place is so important. And that's why that in-between space that I talk about a lot, where you're lucky enough to be in between, maybe you got fired, or maybe you just have the space, maybe you just moved to a new place, something, or maybe you just experienced a tragedy in your life that lands you in this fertile void, this emptiness that from which you can draw, actually you of course process and feel into the emotions, but also draw a lot of power and inspiration and strength and connection with God, and going into your vision, your dream. And that's, I feel like, what's happening to me a lot. What's happened to me a lot in my life is, from the outside, it looks like I've, on a Danish CV, that's not very popular to have all these things on the CV. You're supposed to kind of like follow one line. You study one thing, and then you get the internship for the thing, and then you get the job for that thing. And people say that's a successful model because you invest in the university students, to allow them to have this career. So somehow it's successful to have like one thing that you want to do and to stick to it. That stability is considered a success. And I would say that my periods of success have come more from the instability, from allowing myself to go into the unknown, from allowing myself to face this sort of death of an old version of myself, and a change and a transformation. And how do we get into that change and transformation? It's not just like, oh, I feel like leaving this job and picking up another. It's like it's hard. It's a grief. It's a parting. Leaving my yoga class, it's a small thing, and I have bigger examples, but I'll use this one because it's current. It's also hard to say goodbye to these people, and to somehow face the idea that maybe there's like a rejection of them or something, which is not true, but there's this idea that I'm leaving this thing that has worked so well, and maybe even taking away from their experience, because we are a group, and my presence there allows us to be a group. So there's also this part. It's a very understanding group, so nobody's using it as anything against me, but one could, when you start to leave these places in society that are so stable, one could start to give you critique for it, and that critique could also come in as something that that can weaken you. And you really have to stand strong. And where does that strength come from? Only from God, in my experience, only from God, because you wouldn't be able to get that strength on your own. If so, as Zohar said so beautifully yesterday, it just would be power over, like a power over, or like a force, like to make that you have to fight something, I don't want to do this and I have to fight to do this, and it's not strength that comes from within. It's like this burnout strength that will lead to a crash. So just about the importance of dreaming, the ability that in-between space can give you towards that dream, listening to that inner voice instead of in the mind, and allowing an experience, a learning experience, to really linger and be a long-term learning instead of short-term solutions to living a life that's maybe even not even your vision or your dream, maybe even somebody else's dream about around money and success and all these ideas. So just for a little while in life, it's important to detach ourselves from all of these ideas of what success means and really try to go into one's own inner self, one's own inner vision, one's dream, one's capacity to connect with something outside of just ideas and thoughts in the mind. Those are my thoughts for today. Namaste.